Hi, Sarah here with a mixed media canvas to share with you today. This was using products from Thompson's Craft Supplies, mainly the mixed media kit from July this year. I will link below that kit. There should still be a couple left if you're quick. And the other products are mostly from the previous kits, and some of them are still available as well if you're fast. There are only a few left of each one that is still available. Some have already sold out, so I'll leave links below for all that if you're interested. And the canvas I'm using is just a cheap one from Hobbycraft, cost me about £3 I think. So first off, I'm using this beautiful paper from the kit. I will utilise those corners later, so I'm not wasting any of this paper. I trace out my canvas and then trim it out and just ruffle up the edges, and then I'm going to make sure this is glued down really well with some matte medium, and this one is by Fabrica Decoru, so you could use any though, any matte medium would work. And as you can see, I'm adding a bit extra around the edge. Also Mod Podge would work for this too. And just want to make sure all those edges are nicely sealed, and I do apply a layer on top as well. Next, I'm going to add a layer of gesso on top of that as well, because I am going to be applying some water colour on top as well. So I want to just make sure that nothing's gonna start to pill up or tear if I add too much later on. So I've got that nicely prepped for anything I throw at it now. And this is a stencil, also comes in the kit, and I just dot this around. I add a few at first, then I decide where exactly my photo is going to go and in its frame, and then I add a few more once this is dry, so I can add them without smudging them too much. So I do add them in two parts. You could add them all at once if you're careful, or you could just do them one at a time if you've got time to let each one dry, and then you're sure not to let any of it smudge. I'm adding a layer of white gesso just to this frame in case I decide to colour it. I did put a hint of colour on it, but nothing major. I just wanted to add a tiny hint of pink. And I'm also grabbing all these wood chipboard pieces. I won't use them all, but I gesso them all ready because then they're ready for another project as well. I decided to add a bit of texture to this one. I wanted to use some tools, so I just grabbed a roll of it, which I'm running low on now. I use it quite a lot. And then I'm just going to add this down with my 3D gloss gel, which I use for most things, sticking most things down. It works brilliantly. It sticks really well, especially things like fabric or heavy elements that are quite awkward to adhere down. So I just add this layer upon layer, and with plenty of the gel medium spread out there as well. And now, which I should have done beforehand, as you can see, because I do have to move the tool around a little bit, I'm now adding some colour. I do show you how I do this first one. I do the same technique for each one. So first off I add my lighter colour, or the colour that I want to be on the outer edges of the petals on the flower, and then I'm just smudging it out, spreading it out with some water. I don't mind if it goes into the paper a little bit, because that adds a little depth to it as well. And then I'm coming in with a brighter colour or a different colour in the centre, and then again just back in with the paintbrush with a little bit of water just to blend out the colour slightly. And I'm just showing you the start of another one as well. So I've come in with the lighter colour, just adding dots of it around, and then I'll come back with my paintbrush and just smudge it out. And this is on dry texture paste, on paper paste, sorry. So it does behave slightly differently to normal texture paste. You can also get plaster paste now as well, but I haven't tried that one yet. This works beautifully for adding colour on top of it though. I really like the effect of this. And as you can see on this one, I'm adding yellow to the centre, and again just blending out the colour a little bit. And then I do the same sort of thing for the leaves as well. I'm not sure if I show that. That's all the flowers done all the way around the edge. I just vary the colours a little bit, but make sure they're all in keeping with the colours from the papers and the flowers that I'll be adding on later. So for the leaves I add that mint green, and then I come in with a slightly darker tealy colour and just put a hint of it here and there, and just blend that out with the brush. Next up, I'm going to add some papers to my photo. I am using a frame, but I do want to add papers as well, partly because there is the photo is slightly narrower than the frame, and partly just because I do want papers to be sticking out behind the frame as well, just to add extra texture. Next up, I'm going to add some foam so that my photo pops up a bit off that background and is a little more level with my photo frame. That's just my canvas falling down there. And I do apply a few layers of foam here and there just to add just a bit of height to the photo, because the flowers I'm using are quite dimensional, so otherwise the flowers would stand out and the photo would be lost in the background. And this is how I'm going to utilise those corners. All I do is glue them down and then just trim off the little edge pieces, and because the opposite side of that paper is actually a wood grain, it kind of looks like panels, so where I trim it off it looks like the edge of a wood panel. And I do distress the edges of these as well, and then just glue this whole piece down on top of the tool. A lot of that will get covered up by the flowers later on, but it does peek through here and there, so I wanted it to look nice because I knew some of it would be seen. I add just a hint of ink around the edge there, and I also add some just around where the photo's going, because I wanted it to stand out from the background. Again, it will a lot of it will have flowers on top of it, but it's nice to add these layers so that if you can see through, then you can see extra detail behind it. So I do add a little bit of water as well and dab that off for a bit more texture. And then I just used the backing from some of the wood pieces I use, chipboard pieces I use, just to utilise that to add height to the photo. So now I'm coming in with the same colours that I used last time, and I'm going to do a few leaves. Some of these are from the kit. The other ones that look a little bit more seaweedy are just from my stash, and these flowers are also in the kit. You get loads of chipboard in the kit, and I add the similar colours. I don't use all of them. I think I used 2 or 3 of them that I used on the background, and I just wanted to add these wooden pieces because they work so well with the papers as well. So I added just a hint of yellow on there as well, as you can see, and they just all sort of blend nicely together with the water. The water just moves around lovely. And I'm just adding a hint of the darker colour on the leaves as well, just to add a bit more detail as well. And I do that to all of the leaves. And then I'll just leave those to dry. They've had a coat of gesso on them already, which I did earlier, that you saw, so that the colour sits really nicely on them. And now I'm going to start arranging all my embellishments. So I start off with the wooden pieces first of all. I'm going with the leaves because I know that then I want the leaves with the flowers on top. So I then come in with the chipboard piece flowers. And now I just wanted to add a little more texture using the straw that comes in the kit. I love this stuff. I think it looks really effective. And all I do is scrunch it up. Oh, there's a kitten being nosy as usual. I just scrunch it up, wind it up, tie it together in a little bundle, and then just glue the centre and stuff it in behind. I haven't added all those flowers. What I did was I've done a dry run with these. I always do this so that if I feel like I don't like where they're placed, I'm not ending up tearing up petals and things if I don't like how it's done. So what I've done is I've just chosen lots of paper flowers that I felt went well with the background, making sure that I do maybe one large flower with a cluster of smaller ones here and there, and I go around, once I'm happy with them, I go around and add just with a paintbrush, a little bit of gel medium again. And now I'm adding gel medium all around the edge, just in a few patches, and I've made a little mix up of these 2 deco toppings that came in the kit, but I've also added some white iridescent glitter to them, which actually works almost like using a white paint, so it does make the colours a little bit more pastel-y. And then I've just added them on top of the glue, and once that's dry I just tap off the excess and it just sticks nicely. And now, because some of the flowers I used already had a really nice iridescent flakes on them, I also had in my stash that iridescent gel, so I add a little bit to the petals. Next I'm adding my smaller flowers and my gems. I always do my embellishments in the same sort of order, and then I don't get bogged down. I do them in a layer at a time, so leaves, then flowers, then small flowers, then gems, so I'm filling in little gaps here and there as well. And now I've added those little flowers by Rainbow Resin, by the way, if you're interested. I will link that shop below as well. I add a few more gems, I add a hint of colour to the frame, a little more of that iridescent glaze onto the flowers and some of the leaves, just to add an extra bit of sparkle. And that is me done. So thanks for joining me today. Do check out Thompson's Craft Supplies if you haven't already, and please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video and you're not already subscribed to me. I do make quite a few videos and they're a mixture of scrapbooking and mixed media, so I would love for you to subscribe, and I will leave all the links you need to see below. And do check out what everyone else is doing over in the Facebook group of Thompson's Craft Supplies as well. Thanks for joining me. Bye.